Well, hey there, Board Game Maniacs. Thanks for joining me in for another episode of Painting with a Maniac. Today, we're not really painting per se. We're going to be doing something else. It's a basing tutorial, but kind of like, this is how I do my basing. And I've had lots and lots of emails and comments on our social media and emails through our BoardGameManiacs@gmail.com asking me how I do the bases. So I did explain it in other previous Painting with the Maniac episodes, but I figured I'd do one just specifically for doing the base, not including the painting or anything else. So this video is probably going to be pretty short, and we'll just go from there. It's going to be pretty easy. But just to show you what we're going to be achieving here is we're going to take the miniatures. This here is an assembling from one of the videos that I did where we assembled the Wookiees. You can see this Wookiee, awesome job. It's the glue's all set. It's been a while anyhow. But anyhow, so we're going to base him out to make it look like this here. So this here is one of the clone troopers. I showed Brady how to do the basing, and he did the basing, and you can see this is before it's painted, it's just primed. And this is what we're going to get to is before we prime it, how we get this kind of texture onto the base so that when we are going to paint it, it's going to be really cool. It's a good idea to do the base before you do the priming. And the reason why is because the paint is, number one, going to lock down this basing material. And number two, too, as well, is, you don't have to try to fiddle around with it after you do the painting to apply this basing, if that makes sense. So right now, hold on your hats. We're going to get set up, go over the materials and everything, and we're going to do this. It's going to be just a quick little tip on how to do basing, or how I do my basing, one of the ways. First off, let's talk about materials that I use when I'm doing it. Number one, obviously, is a brush. This here is a layer brush. It's a medium layer brush, I guess. But you can use any kind of brush. You can see the kind of size brush it is. So that's one we're going to use. We're just going to use a disposable cup. You can get these at like the dollar store, hardware store, anything like that. And we're also going to be using PVA glue. Now, this originally was in a pack of Army Painter's Battlefield basing glue, but I quickly went out of that, used it a lot. So I just used school glue. I just filled in because it's a smaller container. I can keep this at my station when I'm doing this, so it's pretty simple. Another thing is, you can see in this bottle, it is PVA glue watered down to a milk-like consistency. And all I did is put PVA glue and water. Now, the mixture ratio of this is kind of hard to say. I would say it's, maybe like 1 part PVA to 3 parts water. Something towards that, just so you get a milk-like consistency. And I use it in this squeeze bottle. I get this at the dollar store too as well here in Canada. Very easy. I fill this up. I go through this a lot when I'm doing my basings, as well as doing like terrain. And the next thing on the list, just move that out of the way, sour cream. Very important. You get hungry when you're doing this. No, actually, in here is sand. You can see there's sand. There's some cork, a little bit of foam, different size of sand and everything. I use this to kind of put it in, and I break it up, and that way if I get some cork onto it, it's great. If I don't want to use the cork, then I just pick it out. But you can just use sand. This is kind of like play sand. I got this at my local hardware store. We're going to be using that, and I like using into this kind of container because when we are going to be putting the sand onto the miniature, it's better to just put it in. It kind of keeps down onto the mess. Dip it in, you pull it out. It's going to be, you'll see, it's pretty simple. But that is the other material we're going to be using. So let's start this party going, shall we? Aight? First thing is we're going to take our little container and our undiluted PVA, and we're going to put some in there. I'm going to be doing more than one base, but this is going to be a one base. I don't have to show you them all, but just to show you, this is water soluble. I go through this so much, and I will empty this out today very easily, and I'll probably have to fill up the container again. So I got my PVA in here, it's undiluted. Got my miniature, and I got my paintbrush. So I just dip it in, get the excess off. Let's see if I can get this on camera here. There we go. And I just paint on the base with this undiluted PVA glue. So just like this. Careful you don't get around the rim, but if you want to get like do the rim as well, you certainly can do that. Na, 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 na. The hardest part in doing this is probably the wait time of waiting for the PVA to dry. You just want to get it done and over with, but you know, it's just, you forget. Or not forget, you just have to wait. And you try to forget about waiting and you keep occupied with doing other projects while you're doing that. All right, so I'm just going to move the PVA glue a bit, cleaning off my brush. And since you can see the amount of PVA onto it, now I'm going to take my sand and move the cork around a bit because I don't want that so much cork on this one. Submerge it underneath totally, just like that. Pretty simple. And then I lift it up and I tap off the excess. Now you can get the dust and PVA going and the sand carrying around the rim. So I just take my finger and I rub it off just like this. Again, sometimes you can get it on the miniature. Very easy to fix. It is only PVA, remember. So just like that. Pretty easy. Let's move that out of the way. Now, what I do is I don't wait for this to dry before I go on to the next step. I try to get it done as fast as possible. So I'm taking another one of my containers, giving it a good shake to the watered down PVA glue, dumping some in. You can see the consistency here. It's like milk. It's not like water. It's a little thicker than water. It's more of a milk-based consistency. Don't drink it though. Just word of advice, don't drink it. So now what we're going to do is take the miniature, take our brush with the watered down PVA onto it, and we're not painting it on, we are dabbing it on, creating a big pulling effect. Just like so. See there? Let's turn this around here. You want that pulling. You don't want to have like heavy pulling where it's just all running off the base and everything else. But you want to do it enough so that, you know, it's going to cover up all of the sand. Just like that. Place that down. Move this out of the way. And that's it. You just set it aside and you leave it dry. And you'll know when it's dry because when you touch it and the sand is not coming off and the sand feels more like rock, then you can base it out and continue on. So again, when you base it out, there you go. It can take, depending on your mixture, it can take roughly about 30 minutes, I guess, to dry. So what I like to do is I'll get all my miniatures set up. After I assemble them and before I prime them, I will get all of the basing done and I'll just walk away, do another project, or go have a cup of tea, watch an episode, you know, watch something on TV or what have you. And then when I come back, they're all nice and dry and I go on. I won't put a heat gun to this because I'm scared it might, you know, disfigure or deform the miniature because it's made out of the plastic. After that, so I'm gonna just take it in and base them out and you're ready to go. It's as simple as that. So again, just to reiterate, you want to use some undiluted PVA in this kind of cup. Take your miniature, put the paintbrush, use your paintbrush and put the undiluted, dip it into your sand mixture, pull it off, wipe around the rim, and then use your watered down PVA and go over top of it, not painting it on because you're going to pull the sand off of it, but just dabbing it on to create this kind of pulling effect. Leave it dry. And after it's dry, then you can go on and finish and do your priming and painting. Again, this video is probably going to be maybe 5 minutes. If that, the intro is going to be probably It's going to take up most of the time duration of this. But I just wanted to share this because I've been getting a lot of emails and comments on how I do this. And this can easily transition over to something like this. This is not painted, obviously, but I'm making my own like tokens so that when you're playing the game, you can go and you pick it up, or supply tokens. I kind of designed this off of the supply crates, but in either case, I did the same thing to this as I did to the base. And you can do it, you can transition this again over to doing your game board, doing, you know, like trees or any kind of surface you want. It will work the same way. And when it dries, you can maybe hear how hard. I'll put up to my mic, you can hear it scraping. And that's just my finger rubbing up. And look, I can rub all I want and there's nothing going to come off. Very easy. And all that is just some foam board that I put onto it. Very easy. It's very strong and durable. Like, I've had miniatures that I dropped, my bolt action miniatures, and the base just did nothing to it. The miniature get destroyed before the base would, or the basing material. So that is it. That's just a quick little tutorial on how to do texture for the base. And when you're done, you can flock it if you want. You can put you can put anything you want onto it. You can put foam onto it and glue more foam down to it. There's so much possibility for this of what you can do. Very easy. The thing is again, undilute it, and then you put your basing material down, and then you put the diluted over it, and it'll create that connection where it's going to seal it. And away you go. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this quick little tip onto how I do my basing. Again, getting emails and comments, and why not answer them all at once instead of keep sending email after email. So that's how you do that. I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click on the like, to subscribe, and the bell notification to get notified when more videos such as this become available. So until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac. Bye-bye. Boo. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to keep up to date with Board Game Maniacs, click on the like and subscribe button to be notified when more videos come available. If you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, go to patreon.com/BoardGameManiacs. Or you can go to streamlabs.com/BoardGameManiacs1. That's right, and you can donate to help keep the lights on, keep food in our bellies, and play more games. We'll purchase more games, more equipment to make Board Game Maniacs evolve and get bigger and larger because of you, the viewers. I thank you from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head for all of your support. And until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac.